Well, it is the start of a new vlog, and it is the start of like a week, not a week straight, but basically being on reserve twice in a row. I do have a few days off in between, but I just got done with an airport standby and obviously it wasn't used. It was 2:30 to 6:30 p.m., 4 hours at the airport. Usually I get a later standby, so I'm not sure if I was just like really junior on the lineup today and I just couldn't hold something. It is a weekday and usually I don't have weekday A-days, so maybe everybody else who has weekday A-days is just more senior to me. But from what I've been told is these like middle of the day standbys you just often not use. So if I want to work as little as possible on my A-days, maybe I'll start going for these middle of the day ones. I don't get used a lot on my later nighttime ones, except for when I do get used, it's for a lean over, which I hate. So it's kind of like a, you know, it's like a win-lose situation. The only thing that's telling me to keep going for the late night ones though is because I basically have most of the day off leading up to that. I can work out in the morning, I could grocery shop, I can cook, whereas today I basically just rushed all morning and I didn't get to work out and I didn't get to like, you know, it just, I had to leave the house by 1:30 and I just didn't have enough time to do everything I wanted to do. Obviously I have time to do stuff like that now, but I can't go to a workout class now. It's 7 p.m. There's like no workout classes left. Anyway, I'm not at the airport anymore. I did have to go get just a few bucks of gas. I wanna go to, I'm gonna actually fill up at the gas station at the grocery store near my house because I'm sure I'll have like 30 cents off a gallon at this point with the points. I had to get a big Diet Coke. I don't know why I have a lot of heartburn. A Diet Coke is not gonna help, but feeling the bubbles is gonna help a little bit. If you know me, you know I used to be addicted to Diet Coke and I've kind of like weaned myself off of it. Now I just have like a few a week, which I know to some people probably sounds extreme, but I used to have a Diet Coke with every meal, like with every lunch and every dinner. So now I just really love sparkling water. I'm a big sparkling water girly. I'll take it plain, but then I'll also take it like LaCroix and stuff like that. So back to work though. I have not been assigned anything for tomorrow. Oh, the other big thing that makes me dread tomorrow is the fact that this standby was done at 6:30, which means I am legally available again at 6:30, I think, give or take. I don't want that. I do not want to be called at 4:30 telling me they're expecting me at 6:30. Like I really do not want that. So that's the other issue I have. Because the other reason with having those late standbys is at least I know I'm not legal until late again the next day, like until afternoon the next day, which is what really intrigues me about those. But anyways, I gotta get going. I'm in the middle of this like weird, massive gas station that just has a lot of big trucks driving by my car because it's like a big one with the big truck that people can fill up the tanks for the big trucks. I'm gonna stop talking because I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But I'm gonna go home now. I am in Raleigh again. I feel like I've been here, I mean, this is at least the third time in the last 3 weeks. So I am Raleigh'd out, to say the least. It's just a really short layover. I think the last I talked to the camera, I hadn't been used on my airport standby. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but one of the reasons like I did not want to do an early standby was because I'm legal so early in the morning again. Well, obviously they got me pretty good. I mean, maybe not to other people super early, but my report time was 8:41 this morning, which means I had to wake up at like 6:30. That might be a normal hour for other people, but I don't really sleep. Like I can't fall asleep to save my life. So I think I fell asleep around 1:30. So yeah, I mean like 5 hours of sleep is not horrible, but certainly not ideal. It is 10:30 and tomorrow's a long day. We were supposed to only have a 2-hour sit in between our 2 flights today in Atlanta. So we went Salt Lake to Atlanta, Atlanta to Raleigh. That 2-hour sit turned into a 4-hour sit. Just a reminder, like we're not getting paid for those 4 hours. I mean, we have our like per diem pay, but not like flight hour pay. And what usually happens when you have those really long airport sits is like your momentum just goes and you just want to relax. You just want to nap. You just want to sleep. So it's kind of hard to like pull yourself back up especially on like a day that's been long already. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. It's just difficult. We were delayed because our pilots were delayed in Tampa. They were coming up from Tampa. But anyways, we got here. The biggest issue though is it turned this layover from an 11.5-hour layover to a 9-hour layover. So we're like literally minimum rest. Like they had to automatically update our report time tomorrow morning and push back the flight a little bit in order for us to get enough legal rest. So it's 10:30. I've been in my room for about little less than 45 minutes. And report time is 7 a.m. Our shuttle time is 7 a.m. So I have to go downstairs, obviously a little bit before that, which means I have to wake up at like maybe 5:45. Yeah, I'm gonna be tired again tomorrow. Tomorrow's a long day too. We go from Raleigh to LA, which I think is like probably blocked at like, I don't know, like 5 hours maybe. So it's blocked at 5:15, which means I think realistically it'll probably be 4 hours and 45 minutes, but long flight. And then we have a 3-hour sit in LA. My intention is I'm probably gonna try to take a nap in the sleep room in the crew lounge. And then after that 3-hour sit, we just go LA to Salt Lake, which is obviously a short flight. And then we're done. And then I'll be done with this set of reserve days. It's like a nice trip, like 12 hours and 30 minutes of credit. So that's like pretty decent. But like including the money I made on day 1 of not being used on my standby, like 4 hours and 45 minutes. Plus this time, like it's not like a super high time 3-day. But you know what? It's better than the low time, I guess. I'm just gonna like read and try to like get myself in the zone to fall asleep. I'm gonna try not to think about the fact that it is only 8:30 when I'm in Salt Lake right now. I'm gonna try to pretend like my body clock is on Eastern time so that I can go to sleep as fast as possible. I had to move the angle a little bit because the camera was sitting on top of my water bottle, which is sitting on top of my book. But I wanted to show you my book. Right now I'm reading Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Silvia Moreno-Garcia writes like kind of like historical fiction, horror / thriller. I feel like there's like fantastical elements to the stories a lot of the time. Mexican Gothic was a book I read probably like 2 or 3 years ago. It was the first book I ever read by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. And it is like, I think it takes place in 1950s Mexico, and it's about a girl who is from Mexico City, I think, but then she travels out to like go try to save her cousin, who seems like she's in this like really toxic, horrible marriage, or she's about to get married to some toxic, horrible family. I can't really remember. But it's like so visceral. Like the home is a setting in and of itself. It very much gives me like Crimson Peak vibes, which is one of the best movies of all time. Thank you, Guillermo del Toro. But like Mexico City in the 1950s instead of like Victorian era England. But this one is about, it takes place in the 90s, Mexico City, 1990s in Mexico City. And it's about kind of like a washed up actor, and the main girl is a sound editor for like television and movies, and neither of them are doing very well in their careers, but they've been friends since they were children. Main character, she really loves horror films, and they kind of stumble upon a friendship with this old horror film director who hasn't made anything for like almost 30 years. And obviously a lot of horror ensues. I think I'm like 40% of the way through. It's very interesting. I really like it. I like Silvia Moreno-Garcia's writing, and I love like spooky stuff. So, and I've heard that there's a little touch of a cute romance between the friends. And usually friends to lovers is my least favorite romance trope, but as long as the romance is not the key factor of the book, like this is honestly like such a subplot. Like I'm 40% of the way through, and they barely are. Our male lead, his name is Tristan. He is just now starting to have some thoughts of like, I don't know if I want to, like, I can't live a life without having her by my side. But it's not like romantic yet, you know what I mean? And then our main character, I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm going to try. I think it's Montserrat? I don't know. Obviously it's a Mexican name, I think, because it's Mexico, and Mexico City, and so I could be butchering that, but I think it's a very unique, cool name. I'm gonna Google it to see how to pronounce it. She is a little more like, yeah, she's secretly kind of been in love with him this whole time, but she's not like a very romantic girl, so she has never done anything about it. I like their dynamic a lot. She's like kind of the strong, harder one, and he's kind of more of the soft, like, not cowardly, but like he does actually kind of describe himself as a little bit cowardly in this book. But I like their dynamic. And I like this book, and I like Silvia Moreno-Garcia's writing. I recently read a shorter format book that she put out that had a bunch of different perspectives, and it also takes place in Mexico City, but it was like a neo, like future, near future. There were vampires and like vampire lore involved. It felt a little futuristic, but also a little retro in the same way. I don't know, I just think Silvia's mind is fascinating, and I really like the stories they come up with. I'm gonna stop chatting. I think I've been chatting for almost 10 minutes now, so I'm going to just continue reading. And oh, this is a signed copy. I did get this on my last layover. You can see her signature there. I did get this on my last layover at the Shakespeare & Co. on the Upper West Side in New York City, and it was a happy find. I knew that this book was coming out soon, but I didn't know exactly when, and I had bought books already and checked out of Shakespeare & Co. And then as I was like going to the diner front area, I saw this and I saw it said signed copy, and it was the last one left, and I was like, I've been wanting this book. I've been waiting for it to come out. So I grabbed it. So it's kind of one of those like happy coincidence things. I don't know if I will have the stamina to vlog in the morning, but I will try to get some clips. Wish me luck on my sleep tonight. As long as I can get 5 hours, obviously that's not enough sleep, but I will manage. The last thing I will say is, like, now that I've gained a little bit of seniority, like just a bit, I have been able to avoid working early mornings. Like, I hold the bids I put in for later report times and this kind of stuff. Like later report times, when I preference things on my A days, I get like the later standby times or like the later report times on 8 days, except for obviously yesterday, which wasn't an early standby, but you get what I mean. And so I haven't had to work an early morning since like I was Seattle based. I think I did one early 8-day trip in Salt Lake. Sorry, I keep getting texts. I've been in Salt Lake now since February, so that's like almost 6 months, or maybe 6 months, I don't know. I just hate it. Obviously. I mean, I could go on and on about why I hate it, but you've already heard it all, so we can move on. I'm just commiserating about the fact that I've avoided early mornings, and, you know, it had to get me one way or the other. And I'm so close to transferring out of Salt Lake, but that's a topic for another day. That is a topic for another day. I know that this is like a really random spot to be. Hello, this is my office. Not really an office. It's more of a library, but we do have a desk in here for like Sam to use if he ever works from home, which he has the opportunity to, but he doesn't work from home very often. I have like 2 huge bookshelves though over there on that side. There's books right here. Here's the desk. It's kind of a mess in here, because I also resell a lot of books on Depop. So like if you happen to be somebody who likes to read fantasy young adult, fantasy. I resell a lot of books that are in really good condition. I just like, if I don't love it, like if it's not like one of my favorite books of all time, why would I keep it? Especially when I buy so many books. I feel like those kind of genres are the ones I usually sell. I read a lot more than that, but that's what I used to only read, so I have a lot of those books. Anyway, I sell them on Depop, and so I'll leave the link to my Depop down below. I know that there's a few other book apps that people use. I just haven't got into them yet. This is such a random clip. I did finish the book that I've been reading, which is by Silvia Moreno-Garcia, and it's called Silver Nitrate. It turned out a little bit different than I had anticipated. I did like it. It got very occulty, which is not my typical genre. I was hoping for more like horror. It wasn't as scary as I wanted it to be, but I did really like our two main characters, like a lot. So I really liked it. I highly recommend it. If you've read any other of Silvia Moreno-Garcia's books though, like it's very different than the two I've read. The writing is still great, but like the composition of the story, the genre of the story, very different. Of course, I come in here and all the cats come in here too, because they just like, they always want to be where you are. And I feel like because we don't come into this room very often, like it's always very exciting. Like they're like, oh, we're going into the office. It's 3:40. I am actually leaving for the gym in like 20 minutes. Usually I work out in the morning, but today I did not sleep very well last night, and then I woke up at 5:30 and then was up for like an hour. And I also work a red eye tonight. So I was gonna go to the gym in the morning, come home and take a nap. But because I was so tired already, I was like, I'll just try to sleep till like noon or 1 and then wake up, go to the gym later and not have to worry about a nap. So I've just been up doing laundry, I ate some lunch, and now I'm gonna get ready for the gym soon. But I thought I would take this time to explain the disaster that went on last weekend. It's been a few days. I've had a few days off now. See, there's Murphy. I've had a few days off now to, oh, Murphy blocked the light. I don't know what the lighting looks like now. And I really needed the few days off that I've had. I actually was supposed to have today off as well. I had a trip that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today's Thursday. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was actually a long New Orleans layover, and I was very excited for it until the chaos and just so emotionally, mentally draining days that were last weekend that I was genuinely like, I don't want a fun trip. I want an easy trip. I want easy flights. I want flights where people are sleeping, or like little opportunity for things to go wrong. So that's why I swapped into this trip. Plus I got to move it up a day, and Sam's family always has a family reunion that they do every year in Carlsbad State Beach. We go beach camping, and I wasn't able to go last year. Sorry, I'm messing with my hair so much because I just always wear it up now, and like I don't know what to do when it's down. Anyways, they go camping every year in Carlsbad, and it's one of my favorite things to do with the family, and I wasn't able to go last year because of my work schedule, and I was working in New York, and we were extremely understaffed just company-wide last year. I was working like 110, 120 flight hours a month without even picking anything extra up. And if you're a flight attendant, you know that that's like, without even picking anything up, that's insane. So in moving the trip up a day, this gave me the opportunity to have an extra day to like come home and get ready before I go on that vacation, which is great. You coming back? Come on. Come on. No, it's really bright again. Anyway, now that I have rambled on about things that don't really matter, I wanted to talk about the trip a little bit from hell. I was on reserve. I was on my A-days. I actually didn't bid for anything on this A-day slot because I had 40 people in front of me, and there was quite a few things on open time that needed to be filled, but with 40 people in front of me, I was like, they'll probably won't get to me till the end of day 1. I think they must have awarded a lot of trip drops because they said Nebula is playing on the other chair, which is moving my tripod. Nebby! Because it said staffing levels were good, and somehow they got to 40 by 8 a.m. on the first day. So yeah, I feel like they must have awarded a lot of trip drops. It was supposed to just be a 2-day Jacksonville. I'm so sorry. No offense to people that actually live there or like living there or like visiting there. I really have had a bad experience with Jacksonville. The last time I went, I did not vlog it. I had a horrible experience in the hotel. So it's one of those things as a flight attendant, I feel like other flight attendants would understand this. Sorry for the lighting changing. But like if you find hotels that like aren't really horrible hotels, but it's just because we stay in hotels so much, right? Like that's 90% of our life sometimes is spent in a hotel room. You find hotels that you just hate for reasons that only make sense to you. Like even if the hotel is fine, even if it's not bad, but it's fine. Like I hate the one we stay in Austin, the short Austin, but I can't get my hands on the long Austin layover, which is all I want because I've heard the best things about that one and I've never been to Austin, but you'll just find those hotels. It was the long Jacksonville layover, which I haven't been to, so I was like, okay, at least it's a different hotel. I can figure it out. I'm gonna be okay. It's just a 2-day trip. I don't really check the weather of places I'm going on a 2-day trip because I'm just like, it's a 2-day trip, right? I'm not planning on going out in Jacksonville. I was just planning on eating my own food in my hotel room and relaxing. We were supposed to fly through Atlanta on the 2nd day. The trip was as follows. We deadheaded to Sacramento. We worked Sacramento to Atlanta, and then we went Atlanta to Jacksonville. Everything was fine on day 1. All of us were called from A-days, so I think something must have happened to the crew that was supposed to work this trip because it was a very weird rotation. Like it must have been an Atlanta crew or something that was supposed to work that flight, Sacramento to Atlanta. I'm not really sure. So we get to Jacksonville on the first night. Everything is fine. Layover's fine. We are all picked up to go back to the airport for day 2. We sit on the plane for 2.5 hours before the flight cancels because there's a ground stop in Atlanta. I don't know if you like follow the weather, but what day is today? The 10th? So maybe it was like on the 6th and the 7th, maybe the 7th and the 8th. The weather was insane. There was like this massive storm, like thunderstorms, lightning, all of this, that was kind of shaped like a parentheses. This is like the easiest way for me to describe it. And I'm in Jacksonville, right, which is like northern Florida, and just like a few hundred miles above me is Atlanta, right? And so you have this parentheses shaped weather that's just coming down this way and staying like right in Atlanta. So there was a ground stop there because of the weather. It took them 2.5 hours to cancel the flight because I think, you know, operations must have been waiting to see what the weather was gonna look like. And I think there was just a massive buildup of flights that are supposed to take off, flights that are supposed to land, flights that, all this drama, right, in Atlanta. Because Atlanta is, I believe, the busiest airport in the world. The most busy airport, like the most planes are coming in and out of Atlanta in the entire world. So you can only imagine. I think with my airline, there was like 70 diversions that day alone. And I think there was like 300 cancellations over the course of 2 days. And you know, there's obviously so many other airlines that fly through Atlanta. It's a big hub for a lot of airlines. And so it was like an operational nightmare, like industry-wide. To make the longest story short, it takes us a few hours to hear about our schedule. We head back to the airport, but the schedule was not official. There was kind of a disaster going on in the scheduling and tracking side of things for the crew, like updating our schedules. So instead of updating our schedules correctly to what we were told they were going to be updated to, they updated our schedules to work another flight later that day, but we were already at the hotel, like we had already gone back to the hotel. So then we were on the phone trying to get a hold of anybody from anywhere for like 2 hours, telling them like we are stuck at the hotel with no way to get back to the airport. We're supposed to work this flight, but we were told to go back. It was drama, disaster, okay? My crew and I, thankfully we vibed so well. There was somebody from my crew named Carrie, and she had watched my videos, which made me so happy. At the beginning of the trip, she was like, I just wanted to tell you that like your training videos got me through training. I was like, that is so sweet. Thank you so much for letting me know. So long story short, we do end up making it back to the airport. However, we get on the flight that we're supposed to work. It was just to Atlanta, and I put my bags away. I'm checking everything in my first class galley to make sure I have all my stuff. All of a sudden I hear the first officer say, there's another ground stop. He's like in the flight deck and he's like, there's another ground stop. I was like, You have to be kidding me. So anyway, it doesn't take them very long to cancel the flight because at this point it's already like after 10 p.m. You know, at that late in the night, I think it's pretty obvious like if we're gonna make it or not. I feel like it was a pretty easy call for them to cancel that flight. We had the best first officer and captain in the world. Like the captain really was extremely helpful. It is really, really amazing when you have a very supportive and very kind and understanding flight deck crew, because just the way the hierarchy is and the way things work in the airline industry, things with flight deck crew, things with pilots usually get addressed before things with flight attendants. To have a flight deck crew that is extremely supportive, especially on one of the worst days of your flying career so far, and like a lot more mentally draining and exhausting things happen, but it's just not, to be honest, it's not worth it for me to get into in this video, so that's why I'm just kind of like glazing over all of it. But it was extremely helpful, and it was extremely helpful for me and my crew to have a great flight deck crew, captain and first officer. It was just amazing. He helped us make it back to the hotel, he helped us get us rooms, and then obviously we got a hold of crew scheduling as well, who updated everything, and everything was fine at that point. Obviously we had a minimum rest layover, and then we were supposed to work the next day. Well, again, to just pack this up into the tightest little box possible, which is a very loose, ugly box. We all kind of got rerouted that day as well. So this 2-day trip turned into a 3-day trip, and I was supposed to double deadhead home from Jacksonville to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Salt Lake. I got on my deadhead flight to Atlanta. All my other crew members had been rerouted. I was the most senior on the crew, so that is why they were rerouted before I was. Some of them worked a flight to Detroit, which is like kind of brutal after a minimum rest layover and being thrown around a lot the day before. But I get to Atlanta, my flight's delayed, it delays again, it delays again, it delays again, it delays again. At this point, it's a little over a 4-hour delay. And I find out I'm working the flight instead of deadheading. There was a more junior deadheaders on board, so technically they're the ones who are supposed to work the flight, which really put a toll on me emotionally for a few minutes. I got in contact with my manager and everything, and I was like, I'm supposed to be deadheading on this flight. Now they want me to work it, but there's more junior people deadheading, so they're the ones who are supposed to be working it. And you know, after all was said and done, I told them, I was like, I'm not trying, I know that today's and yesterday's operational nightmare, and I'm not trying to cause any additional problems. I just want you to understand that I'm frustrated and tired. And my manager was so understanding and super kind, and she did everything that she could to help me, but at that point it was just really close to about an hour before departure, so I basically just needed to get to work. And so I was like, I'm gonna work the flight. It's flight leader, I prefer working flight leader. So we worked the flight, and I got back late. I landed at like 10 p.m. A little before 10 p.m., maybe like 9:30 Salt Lake time, when I was supposed to be back at 5 p.m. the day before. So yes, I was on reserve. Yes, I had a 3rd reserve day, but I would have probably been scheduled a turn, like a really like low time turn, but it would have been really easy, like maybe a San Diego turn, something like that. Or it might have not been used because there was no weather on the west side of the United States. It was just all on the East Coast and a little bit in the, you know, central United States. So yeah, it was just a lot. And I know that I've been blabbing on about it for quite some time now, and hopefully you're watching this video on 1.5 speed. Anyway, I know I've said a lot, but the story just is even more deep than what I was explaining, and I'm trying to like say it in not only the most like layman's terms so that people who are not super familiar with the airline industry can understand, but then also like to tell you everything I want to tell you without deterring you away from this being super long and you not caring anymore. You know what I mean? One last piece of information. I did meet a friend called Mark. He was on my flight. He is a subscriber. He watches my videos. It was one of the coolest experiences because I truly have never met a person who watches my videos who wasn't also a flight attendant while I've been being a flight attendant. And so it was almost surreal. And it just adds a lot of, it helps me remember the value of what I do, because I do really like making these videos. I know I'm not extremely consistent. I try to do one a week, and I know it ends up being longer than that, but it's because it takes me like 4 to 6 hours in total from the moment I start editing till it's fully, completely uploaded on YouTube, but I do love making these videos. I love my personal form of art that I get to put into the videos. I love, oh my gosh, the one thing Mark did was he commented on my music, and that made me so happy because and you can ask Sam, like obviously he's not here right now, or I'd have him come on camera. Sometimes it takes me hours to find the music I want to use for a video. Like legitimately hours. I use this platform called Artlist, and it's like you pay for it. It gives you licensing to use this music. I usually try to always link the music I use down below, or at least do the title and the artist name down below. But he commented on my music, and that made me so happy because it is something that I put so much time and effort into in selecting the music. So thank you, Mark, for introducing yourself to me. It was honestly such a pleasant experience to meet you and to hear from you. And he's a music professor too, so the fact that he commented on my music, I was like, oh my gosh. No, I'm just kidding. I think this might be the end of the vlog though, so I just wanted to say, like, thank you for watching this vlog. I know it's probably a little chaotic. Tonight's trip will probably start a new vlog, and it'll include also my vacation next week, basically, which I'm really excited about. And then at the end of that vacation, I do have another set of reserve days. This is my second set of reserve days for August. I did end up picking up another one because somebody took 4 days off of my line, so I took their 3-day reserve day block, but that's at the end of the month, so that'll be different. I, again, just wanted to say thank you for watching. I still got Murphy here on my lap. I think you can see like the top of his head, and he wants to say thank you as well. No matter how many minutes of the video you watched, if you're a subscriber, no matter if you've never commented or you comment often, all of that means a lot to me, and I just want to say that like truly, sincerely, straightforward, because it is a lot of work that I put into these videos. So like any sort of recognition, any sort of acknowledgement makes me so happy. So if you're ever like, oh, I don't know if I should comment, you should comment, okay? If you ever want to comment, please comment. And also, if you've seen a few of my videos and you're not subscribed, this is your sign to subscribe, okay? Thank you. I do have to leave for the gym though in like 4 minutes at this point. That's how long I've been talking. Hope all is well. Everybody stay safe and groovy and healthy, and check in with your loved ones always. Reach out to your loved ones if you need to be checked on. Know that there's people out there who love you, and know that I care about you, even if I don't know your name, which I really wish I knew your name. I care about every single one of you. I think I have like, you know, 7,000 some odd subscribers, and every single person that is encompassed within that large number means a lot to me, okay? Anyway, I've been talking for so much. Please forgive me. I'm gonna go to the gym, and I'm gonna end things off here. I'm gonna probably close it out with some footage of being like on a plane, or, you know, out the airplane window or something like that. Murphy just left, so I think that is also a sign for me to get up. Goodbye, guys.